Well, my colleague Mildred Tuhaise there speaking to the government spokesperson, director for the media center of Fono Opondo over matters going on in the House. Of course, as I said earlier, he has already tweeted about the beating of one of our colleagues, Joshua Mujunga, who is undergoing treatment, having been beaten by military officers wearing UPDF uniform. But again, government insists that these actions will be investigated and those found culpable will be subjected to the due process of the law. We will wait for that. Hopefully that will come before another journalist is again subjected to the same treatment. And let's just get into the conversation a little further with those in charge of journalists. But that is right after this. Well, journalists have persons who are responsible for them and for that matter who are responsible for their rights, and it is Human Rights Network for Journalists, Robert Sempala, who is with me to have this conversation. Robert, it is a very good afternoon. It is tough days for journalists here, but you issued an ultimatum to the UPDF asking and demanding that they parade the officers who beat up journalists in the first instance. Where have you gone with that ultimatum? I do not know whether UPDF has responded in parading. What are you going to do next? Now there's another who has been beaten.
Yeah, we are in very trying times. It is the third time happening in so short a time. One in Arua, when journalists were beaten up by the army. Then come the other day, Monday, and now another one, all at the hands of men in army uniform. We take them to be army officers. The army certainly was remorseful at some point when they apologized and sympathized with the victims, and even committed to take action against the errant officers who, during our meeting with the army leadership, kept referring to them as rotten apples that were denting the image of the force. And we had reason to give them a benefit of the doubt, because one, they committed to take a charge of the medical expenses incurred by the victim journalists. They also committed to arrest the errant officers and try them. To that effect, the CDF was to give us progress about the trial processes. They said it would take different forms. Some would be taken to the regular trials, others would be subject to punishments and, like the workings of the army. The other one was to...
So, as journalists,
yes.
If the army is investigating, is there a place for you to ask if journalists can help? Because there is footage and there are pictures. Is the army willing to receive this footage so that it can help its work identify these individuals if it is struggling to identify them?
One, it is extremely difficult for us to believe that the army is going to go an extra mile into trying their own and letting their identities known to us as the public, more so the journalists, because that was key amongst our demands.
So what are you going to do? You issued an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Are you going to come good on it?
Certainly, yes. But after that meeting, which was held on a Monday, we came out and informed our colleagues that we needed to give the army the benefit of the doubt, take action and on the commitments they had made. We're giving them a week, but before even that settles, we have another of our own beaten, still in a bloody light, still by the army, and this is unexplainable.
So does this morning's incident change the dynamic?
We are certainly going for a very urgent strategic meeting over the same with our partners, because we have a number of stakeholders, including the managers, the owners, the editors, and the membership. We're going to call an emergency meeting, and this has to forge a way forward on this. But
so when is the emergency meeting sitting?
It is right this afternoon. It's not going to be a massive meeting. It's by a few heads of our strategic partnership circles. But this certainly is going to inform our next course of action. We do not want to lay bare everything right here, but people must know that the journalists are not at ease, all is not well, and that we are under attack, especially now by the army. Because I talked to the police spokesperson before coming here, right at the hospital, and says no, he wants to kind of downplay the gravity of the matter, the gravity of the attack on the journalist, and says these security people inform the public they do not want cameras. And it's not us to inform the army that the army guys don't want cameras. It's the work of the army leadership and how to tame them to learn how to manage.
What is the problem with the cameras?
We do not know to date, because if you come out to manage public order, you certainly expect cameras in public forums, public spaces. So if you do not want cameras, don't come out of the barracks. You know, it is just simple than descending on people and beating them right up. And
so did I hear you saying that there is an official statement from security forces that now cameras covering incidents where the army and police involved are unwanted? Is that an official statement?
That is a discussion I had with the spokesperson of the army, Brigadier Karimili, right when I was at the hospital.
So he's saying that according to the position of the army, cameras are unwanted where the army is.
The army guys do not, they fear cameras. And I don't know.
Is that an official position or was it just a conversation?
Actually, the army has to come out and say what we discussed with them is an official position. Today, it was on phone discussion.
Okay.
But if that is to be a position, then it has to be laid bare and justified to the wider public that where the army is, even when it is in a market, you run away with your cameras.
Okay.
Because it sets a very bad precedence.
Okay.
Where you have the army come to a public place and then beat whoever is there, especially the journalists, and delete their material because they deleted to that effect.
So I hope we don't take the view that when they invite us to their functions, they then don't fear cameras. But that's another matter. Speaking to Human Rights Network for Journalists, Robert Sempala, there over incidents in which one of my colleagues and our colleagues here at NBS, the Political Command Center, videography journalist Joshua Mujunga is in a hospital. But let's just look at the tweet by the government spokesperson, Ofono Opondo, over these matters. He has already tweeted over these matters and his tweet will be up in a moment. That's the tweet there. Every reported matter of mistreatment, brutality or high-handedness shall be investigated and punished. UPDF spokesperson at Media Center, government spokesperson there, insisting that every reported matter of mistreatment, brutality or high-handedness shall be investigated, including the beating of our colleagues. This is the second colleague here to be beaten. It began by one in Arua, Julius Bakabage, now Joshua Mujunga. The question is who will be next? Let's take a break as we think about that.